brought a water bottle today. Hello, you guys. I am live again today because there's something I want to share with you that I feel like I should share. I feel like today is just a day to share. And if you've seen the title of this, I said feeling behind and trying. Okay. And the reason why I wanted to share this part about feeling behind is sometimes people can look at you or look at your others and think they're so far ahead and that they should be. You may even look at yourself sometimes and feel like you should be farther ahead than you are. And I have had this feeling, and I do have this feeling quite a bit actually. um and I want to share with you on how sometimes we can feel behind. And I felt like sharing today, so I just jumped on live. I felt like sharing this little thing that I felt like the Lord put on my heart. And honestly, I have a lot to do. Okay. I have a lot to do today. And I'm like sitting here and I was just like, let me drop this little nugget of advice to them who feel a little behind. And I will say this: you may have a lot of plans and a lot of goals and things that you're working towards. And you're kind of like, I don't know how I'm going to hit these. Like, let me just show you some of mine. Okay. Like, turn this around. So this board over here has different goals and different things I'm working on and different things I need to get done and just different things I'm believing God for. And sometimes you can look at your goals and then you can look at your life and you can be like, this is not. How am I going to get out of this hole? How am I going to get myself back on solid ground? How am I going to get here? How am I going to get there? And I want to tell you, sis, and this is so hard to keep doing, even when all hell breaks loose, even when you don't have the money. But you gotta believe God for a miracle. You have to believe that there is a miracle waiting on you. You have to believe that every day, it says in scripture, his mercies are new every single morning. You have to believe every day that something good will happen for you. You have to have a plan as well. Okay. So I'm not even plan to talk on all this. But the first thing I think you got to do, sis, is you got to wake up daily knowing God is gonna bring me through this. He's gonna bring restoration. Oh, the seasons are gotta change. If I've been in this season for 2 months, if I've been in this season for 6 years, if I've been in this season for a year, things got to change. The seasons have to change. And actually, maybe this moment was to teach me things so that when I get into the next season and I'm comfortable and things are a lot easier, that actually I can take and apply the lessons that I've learned. You know what I mean? There was a season in the ministry where I was so in the green that I didn't know what to do at times. I would be like, should we buy that? Like, I was buying stuff because we could, right? And then I remember we got started getting down closer to the red, and I was like, oh no, we can't buy that, we can't buy that, we can't do this, we can't do no. I started being more frugal. I started saying, no, we're not gonna put our money there. No, we're not going to do that right now. I'm not going to do that in this. We're going to do this here. We're going to be smart. And then and then I had to remember back, and during the frugal season, I had to say, do we really need to buy that microphone? Do we really need to buy those lights? Or can we continue to use what we already have? In the frugal season, we can continue to use what we already got. Okay. See, I want to tell you, many times we are like wanting to come out of a season. And I know, girl, and I'm trying to tell you right now, how do I say this to the girl who's been in it a long time? I know you've been wondering, when is it going to get lighter? Like, when is this going to get lighter? When is this going to get ahead? When is this going to get good? When is this going to get back steady and grounded? First thing is, you got to expect a miracle. You got it every day, not just when you get your faith up after Sunday service, not just when you heard that one good YouTube word and now you're like, I got the faith. Every day you got to fight, girl. That's what it said. You got to fight for your faith, okay? Especially if your bank account is negative, especially when you know you got a big bill coming and you don't know how you're going to cover that. You have to fight for your faith, daughter. Okay. So this thing is, first off, you got to expect a miracle. All a miracle is God's glory, is God's blessing pouring out on you. You want to expect that daily. You want to expect something good. And I think it was Oral Roberts in one of his books. He said he believed every day, he had this belief that something good was going to happen to him. And Oral Roberts grew up very poor. He had a speech impediment, all this stuff. But as he got older, he realized he had to have a faith because his life was really bad, and him and his family were very poor, and his wife and children, they were very, very poor. Um, but he just had to have this inward knowing that every day something good is going to happen to me, and that's kind of how he finished out a lot of his books. But besides that little thing, I didn't quite get that for me. Mine is not like every day something good's gonna happen, but every day I expect to see God. I expect it, even if it's literally around my family and we have a small moment. Like I expect to see God. I expect to see a miracle. Some even if, and also I do understand that God will supply my needs. So every day I expect God to supply the needs. It says that the lilies of the field do not toil. The birds ain't out here worried about what they gonna eat today. They're not stressing over the things we are. So I have to sometimes remind myself, Morgan, God will supply every one of your needs. Do you believe that? Do you believe that? Once you believe that God will supply your needs, once you believe that, I'm sorry, had a phone call. The next thing is you got to make a plan. You have, and this right here sometimes is hard, but you got to plan on how you're going to come out of this. Plan your way out. Okay. So this is something for business women, business people, and entrepreneurship. When you find yourself in a hole, you can't just sit there. You can't. When you find yourself in a hard place and making decision as a leader, you can't just sit there and say, I'm not gonna make a decision. You have to make a decision. So same thing with you. If you are in a really tough situation, a tough season, plan your way out of it. First off, what is the new plan? Maybe maybe you need to build a new routine first. Maybe your mornings are way off and that is throwing off your routine. Okay. So maybe you need to build a new routine. Also, too, maybe you need to go to your local library or if you have a printer at home, and maybe you need to print out you a weekly plan. And then sometimes maybe you need to print out you a monthly expenses, all the bills that you have to pay that month. Your monthly expenses laid out before you. Maybe you need to see that to know where your money is going and what you're spending things on, all that. So you need to make a plan to come out. And the next thing is, girl, mm-mm-mm. You have to work that plan. Now, you might be like, well, Morgan, how do I know if this plan is not from God or if this plan is from God? Girl, if you are in a hole, any plan you make to come out, God will bless that plan to help you come out. Now, I'm not going to go over here and say you can go and do some crazy stuff and think you're going to come out. Okay. You can't go rob a bank and say, I'm going to come out of my hole for robbing a bank. No, no, no. You can't do that. But as long as you're doing something that is good, that is pure, and that's truly good for you. So, for example, let me give you an example. Since I run a ministry and I have a YouTube channel, when I find myself in a financial hole, I go and look at the opportunities that I am maybe overlooking or the things I'm not doing anymore at one season that I did do. So sometimes in the ministry, if I notice the ministry is struggling, I'll be like, okay, we need to do some more book sales. We need to maybe we need to market more on some of our products because I see that our numbers are down. So for me personally, when my finances are a little low, I'm like, okay, how many more sponsorships can I pull off? What could I kind of start looking at the things that I let fall through the cracks. The little money that, oh, we made a couple hundred from that ebook sale. Maybe we need to do ebook sales again. Maybe we need to do this. So I want to encourage you, make a plan to come out of your hole. Okay. If you know that monthly you need over $5,000 a month to pay all your bills and to cover your car note, your home, your rent, or whatever, if you know that, make a $5,000 a month plan. Make a $3,000 a month plan. Make a $2,000 a month plan. If you got bigger bills than that, make a $10,000, $20,000 a month plan. A lot of businesses, a lot of times we have to do this. We have to make a plan on how we're going to make this money and pay our employees and not go in the hole while doing it. Okay. So I'm sharing all this with you on some practical stuff because sometimes we can feel so behind in life. And we're like, why am I behind? Why am I behind? And sis, really, it's that you have not been believing God to get you forward, but you haven't aligned action with that either. All right. So if you have been in a season for far too long and you feeling behind, you didn't do this yet, you didn't get to this place yet, first off, be easy on yourself. Because if you keep putting out all these feelings of inadequacy, all these feelings of not good enough, then it's going to be really hard to believe God for a miracle. It's going to be really hard to step out on faith. It's going to be really hard to do something that scares you because now you don't even feel worthy, right? It's going to be really hard for you to believe that you deserve that God has got something good for you because you already in the mindset of you don't deserve that anyways. So I want to tell you, if you are feeling behind, and you are feeling that you've been in a season for way longer than you wished you was. And you've been seeing this, you've been how I want to share this is how I got it is you've been in a season that has lingered, and you thought it would have been gone by now, you thought it would have passed by now, but it hasn't. And you're still kind of in this, it's not a cycle, it's not like you're in a cycle, but it's just like you're ready to get out of this hole. If it's a financial hole, if it's a mental hole, if it's a life hole, if it's where you're living at this place, whatever, you're just ready to get out of this place. And you've been fighting to get out. You've been pressing against those walls. You've been knocking on the door, like, come open up for me. And you've been pressing and you've been fighting to get through that. I want to encourage you. Don't quit. Don't be like, well, I've been here so long, so why don't I get comfortable? No. Daily believe that God is going to bring you out. Daily believe. Like the other day, I remember I was in my apartment and I was just like walking, doing something, and I was like, oh, God is bringing me out of that. I had to remind myself, like, hey, you need to feel that today. You need to feel that God is bringing you out of the thing that you've been trying to come out of. You've got to believe that there is better coming. You've got to believe. And also, too, it's like the book of Esther. In the book of Esther, there was a moment where everybody was down. Everybody was like, all right, y'all, what we about to do? We need to fast and pray. We got to believe. That was the night. That was the darkness. But the light has to come. The sun has to rise. Esther got the courage. She went out in faith, did what she had to do. You have to believe. You have to believe that things will change for you. And if you right now feel like, I don't even have that faith right now. Okay, I'm sorry, Danielle. I will look at that. I tried to purchase your online experience, but it's not letting me continue. I have to put in my billing address. Are all the spots taken? On the online experience, no, all the spots are not taken. However, and we only have 5 spots left for my, you're fine. We only have 5 spots left for my one-on-one calls. So if you're trying to do the online experience, let me double check that for you because I'm like, I don't know what that's about. So when you put in your billing address, hold on, let me see. I don't know what's the problem because we still have a lot more spots and people are still purchasing spots at this time. I just seen one come in. So I don't know what's going on with that. Um, Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to look, but I'm trying to log into one of my accounts too to see what's going on. Um, I don't know, girl. Um, I'm just trying to deal with this because if you have that issue, somebody else probably has that issue too. So somebody else will eventually email me that same thing. Let me see. All right, I'm adding it to cart. Mm, I don't know what's going on that end. Um, oh, I don't know. I would encourage you to refresh your page because some people's orders are going through right now, which I can see on the back end. Um, so I would truly encourage you to refresh your page. Possibly that may be what's going on. Um, Not Smithville. Let me see. It could be something with your billing. If you're putting in a credit card, it could be something with your billing address. I truly don't know. Um, but hopefully it gets fixed. Okay, so I will say this. If y'all don't know what we're talking about, we are having an online experience November 12th. And it's gonna be, we did one last month on that Christian girl. this month is on putting the you back in YouTube. So it's not going to be a sermon, it's not going to be a prophetic word, it's nothing like that. It's literally teaching you how to be authentic on YouTube and how to use those strategies and grow. So that right there is on. So we shared the link to that the other day. If you're a part of my email list and you already got the link, we're only having 100, if I'm not mistaken, 100 seats, 100 spots. Yeah, we're only doing 100 spots, and so that's why she was asking, like, is it already taken up? And no, it's not. The 100 seats are not full yet. But however, one of my other things are kind of full right now. If y'all don't know this, but I do one-on-one calls with ladies, one-on-one coaching calls. I've been doing this since about August, and I take only so many a month. I might take like 4 or 5, sometimes 10 if I have the time, but I only take so many a month. And so right now we just sent out the email. But right now we only have 5 spots left for our one-on-one calls. And I will tell you guys, like I've talked about these calls, but these calls are crazy though for me because I obviously get to pour into them individually and directly speak to them on some different things and give them strategy and whatever. But when I say it's great for me because I can kind of see what people are going through and then I can come take it back into the ministry. Like, for example, the one girl who was like alone in this city, not having a lot of community, she is kind of the reason why I started the online experience every month to bring community to the ladies in the ministry. She was kind of like, she didn't advise that, but she was telling me her issue. One woman, we were on one and she was outside and she was on like, we're on video call and we're talking. And I just felt the Lord tell me, like, send her money back. And I was so as she's talking to me, I'm like on the back end, sitting, and I'm refunding her money, and I'm like, why would I refund her money, Lord? She purchased this, but I did it, and literally like a few moments after I refund her money, she's literally like talking, and she's like, you know what, like I didn't have a lot of money, and I just sowed this seed, like believing that God was going to speak to me and help me, and I had been helping her already a little bit with some stuff. And she was like, "And I just really gave my last, and this was so good for me, and thank you so much." And I was like, "Oh, wow, you gave your last for this?" She was like, "Yeah, I did." And feel like, but I feel so empowered, and I feel like I got everything I need, and I was like, "That's so funny," because like, like 10 minutes ago, the Lord told me to like refund your money to you. And she was like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You might got to give it a couple days, but I refunded it." I was like, "So the money you spent, you're gonna get it back." And she was just like, it was just crazy. It was a really great session, but also it reminded me of ministry a little more too, like, and also being sensitive to the Holy Spirit when the Holy Spirit is speaking. And not just kind of like, well, is this protocol or is this like, no, some things are not going to be protocol, you know? And it was so funny because she was actually picking up her daughter from school, but she was outside and she was going to have to like walk back to this location with her daughter. And so that's what she was kind of talking about and just kind of the struggle she had been in. And I could see her situation very clearly. And I could kind of see certain decisions she made. And I also could see the lack of decision, a lot of fear keeping her back from making decisions. And so we kind of, addressed a lot of that stuff. And obviously she got blessed as well. And then also it blessed me. And so I will say these online experiences was from these coaching calls that I started doing in August. And I will say I was scared to do that. I was scared because I didn't want people to feel like, oh, all you are money hungry or all you're trying to do is this. But I also knew that when I get on these group coaching calls, there might be like 400 people and I can't get to everybody's question. And so I realized I was like, if there are particular ones that really, really want a one-on-one, I think we should offer it. And that's what we do. That's what we've been doing since August. And we've only been offering it every so often. And right now we only have 5 spots left. That's why I just dropped that for you guys. So if any of you ever wanted to do that or felt called to do that, um, that right there could be very, helpful for you. Um, um, OSB. Yeah, I will say this. In this season right now, there's been a lot of financial struggles for a lot of people. And so all I would encourage you, I remember when COVID first hit, some people were in really financial struggles, But I remember I was like soaring. Like I had no financial struggles during COVID, and I was so thankful for that. Um, but I will say it's the amount of work you're putting in too. And if you can't get a job, then it's amount of effort you're putting in. But I will say if you have seed in the ground, your harvest will come. You have to keep putting seed in the ground though. You have to keep working. You have to keep pressing at that door. So if there is this wall and it's closing you from the other side, and the other side is your greatness, the other side is God's blessings and opportunities, you can't quit pressing on that wall. You have to keep going. Because if you stop now, you'll never know how great it could be. You'll never truly know. You'll never know how great you could be. You'll never know how much peace is on the other side of that if you stop now. But if you keep pressing, going through the hard times, if you have to downsize, if you have to say, hey, and I've had to do this before in the ministry, hey, I can't pay you for the next 3 months. Hey, I can't pay you for so many months because we're pressing on a wall right now and we're not going to give up. Okay. And so I want to encourage you to keep pressing on those walls. Whatever that wall is, keep pressing. Keep pressing. And it is okay to need help. It's okay to, be kind of in a struggle season, but always go to God for that help. Always first go to the Lord for that help. Ask the Lord for ideas or what you could work on what could be better for you. That's what I do, especially when I'm in a struggle season. I rarely go to people. I go to the Lord first. And I go to ask the Lord, give me an idea. Before he gave me the idea for ebooks, he gave me the idea for some courses. Like he gave me ideas on designing websites and stuff because I can do that. Like, so I would always ask the Lord, give me ideas. Like I need ideas in this season to make income and or even just to pay for our website's domain or to cover a certain expense that we have coming up. I would just always ask the Lord for ideas. And I always say, if I did the Lord's idea, I would always be good. If I used the gift that God gave me, for sure. Like I was always good. But there were seasons where it would be like down to the wire. I'd be like, oh Lord, like I'm really struggling. Like, don't forget about me. Like, we need help over here. Like, we're really struggling. So there you're going to kind of encounter that, but you also got to make sure that those moments don't define you. You cannot let you being behind in this season define who you are in your whole life. No, no, no. It is just a season. If you're like, I'm 33 and I wish I had a house by now, I don't. That's not your identity. That is just a season. And every season must change. But you want to make sure you have seed in the ground. Seed in the ground. Seed in the ground. What is seed? Seed is your work ethic. Seed are those ideas. Seed is what the stuff you're creating on the side. Seed is the stuff that God has put on your heart to do and you're doing it. Seed in the ground. Seed in the ground. When you are in a really tight season, crisis actually brings forth creativity. In my most crisis seasons, I'm more creative. I'm more creative. In my most crisis seasons, I'll be having the most streams of income because I'm being creative. Now, I'm not saying I'm making a buku from every single one. No, one might bring me in an extra 100, one might bring me in an extra 500 or whatever. Um, but I will say this, it's you get super creative in your crisis season. But also, if you're noticing, and you might be someone who's in this season where you're like, wow, it's the first of the month and I can't afford anything. And I'm like stressing for my rent and I'm stressing for this and I'm stressing for that. I want to encourage you not to let that season break you. Don't let it break you. Don't let it break you. It is just a moment. Breathe. I know you feel like the weight of the world may be on your shoulders. I know you may feel like you can't get through everything. Breathe. Do what you can do. If that is talking to somebody, if that is getting help with finances, if that is, preparing better, making that plan for the next month, for November, so you can be more prepared. But do what you can do, and then you got to let go. And you got to let God do what you can't do. And you got to believe that you have had enough seed in the ground that you're going to come out of this. You're going to come out of this. And I know being in that place, it's hard. And you might be looking like, well, Morgan, you don't know my finances. You don't know this. You don't know that. And I don't. But I do know a God that when I didn't have a job and when I was working an evening janitor shift and going to school by day, and I had a $920 rent that I had to pay every month, I could not pay it. My part-time evening janitor job did not pay me enough to cover my full rent, and all my utilities and stuff. And then going back and forth to school did not give me nothing either. And I know in that season, I was the most stressed out. I was so stressed. I was felt like I could pull out my hair, honestly, in that season because every month was a battle. Every single month was a battle, truly. But what got me through is I had a plan and I had a goal. I had a plan. That plan was go to work, keep working, keep working. Don't quit working. Don't quit working because you don't have the money. Don't quit working because your job isn't paying you that much. Go to work. Keep keep working that plan. But then on the days when you know you can't have that, you did the plan, you did everything you could do, you stop and you pray. And you remember that scripture that God supplies all our needs. So I'm gonna go back to this. The first thing you do is you got to expect a miracle every day. You got to expect that God is going to supply your need every day. If your need is rent, if your need is your light bill, if your need is a Wi-Fi, if your need is health, if your need is your car getting from point A to point B, you need to have a faith and expect. You got to get your faith up, girl. You got to believe that God is going to supply your needs. Expect a miracle daily. I didn't say only on Sunday. I didn't say only when your money is good. You got to expect a miracle even when your money ain't good. I didn't say when everything in your life is feeling so good and you're so happy and your accounts are all positive and everybody's on track and you're on track. No, you got to expect a miracle even when your account is negative, even when you only got $3, even when you pay your whole rent and you're like, I ain't got nothing left and I still got to cover X, Y, and Z. You still got to have that faith. You got to have that faith. You have to have that faith. Okay. The first thing is you expect that miracle daily. I need you to wake up in the morning every day like there's something good happening today. Oh, God is going to supply one of these needs that I have. You got to get your faith up, girl. Please get your faith up so you can see God move in your life. Next thing is you got to create a plan. How are you going to come out of this? Are you going to look for a higher paying job? Maybe you just need to start looking for a higher paying job. Maybe you got to start applying to other places. Maybe you got to start thinking and getting ideas on how you can really get creative with what God is giving you. Okay. Maybe you're like, hey, I already got a little platform. Maybe you got like a little small social media platform. Maybe there's something you can launch on there and that could be an extra couple $100 a month for you or something like that. I don't know. So you got to start making a plan. How are you going to come out of this? Not just that I'm going to pray my way out. Yes, girl, pray your way out, plan your way out, but also you got to work your way out. We can't just sit here with our arms crossed like, Lord, please get me out. Like if I sat here with my arms crossed every day at the ministry work, well, God, I really pray that the Lord is going to handle all this ministry work. It's going to sit here and it's going to sit here. Pray your way out, please. But don't forget to plan and work your way out, okay? Okay? So you're believing God for a miracle every single day. You're believing and you're putting that scripture to test. You're putting God's word back to Him. God, you said you will supply all my needs. I have a need right now of my rent. I have a need right now of my car payment. I have a need right now of another home. I have a need right now. I believe, God, you're going to supply every need, okay? All right. Next thing is, God, plan your way out. How, God, help me outline how to come out of this. How can I work backwards and come out of this place? Okay. The next thing is that might be something so simple as you sleeping in too late. That might be something so simple as, you need to build a weekend routine so you can make sure that things are being taken care of. Whatever. Let the Lord lead you on that one. And then, girl, you got to work. And I'm speaking to myself right here. Like that part was for Morgan. Girl, you got to work. You got to work. And some of the seasons you got real comfortable because money was good, things was easy, things were easy. So you got kind of comfortable. And your work ethic fell off, your lack of things kind of slowed down. You got very comfortable. Now it's time to work. It is time to work. Okay? So I share this with you because I definitely am you. I'm you. And I want to help you understand God will move mountains for you. And if you have a mountain in your life that is financial problems, if you have a mountain in your life that is relational problems, that is personal mental health problems, that is feeling behind in life problems, whatever, God will move mountains for you. I share this so openly. Like, I was a janitor in the evening at the school district, and my ministry was already being built. I already built it, but it wasn't making any money. It wasn't anything. I was in school trying to finish a degree. So I was part-time working at this janitor place. I had this expensive rent of an apartment, but I was a single woman, and this was the only place that I felt safe at. And so I'm living in this apartment to be safe and feel safe. But then I can't afford this rent. And I want to tell you this, God will move mountains for you. There would be, and He is a buzzer beater God. He is. He's a buzzer beater God. He will wait sometimes till the last moment to set you free. But I remember though for about 6 months, y'all, I struggled financially. I moved to this city. I had this evening job. I was in school part-time, and then I was working this job part-time, and the job didn't pay me enough to cover my rent or a lot of my, but I would, pick and choose. I'd be like, "Okay, I'm gonna cover this utility." And I grew up in poverty. And so I remember saying telling the Lord, my lights will never get cut off. My lights will never get cut off. Because see, I grew up with my lights being water being cut off. And that was a see, I'm trying to tell you, sis, you got to get your faith up. So I didn't have money, but I knew my standard, my lights are and my water is not going to get cut off. I'm going to pay my rent every month. I will be okay. And I just had that faith. I had that faith. And there are some months, y'all, I literally would have $400 and it'd be day of rent or the day before rent was due. And I'd have my rent was 920 at the time. And I would be like, let me just go to class. I would go to class. I would go to work. I'm like, all I got is 400 to go to rent today. I would pray. I would be stressed out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. And then something would come through. And I always say, like one time my aunt, which is a distant aunt actually, she didn't even have my number. She had got a hold of one of her people got a hold of my mom. Her daughter got a hold of somebody. Eventually she got my number. This was truly a distant aunt. And she called me and she said, I need to send you some money. And I had been wondering, God, how are we gonna pay this rent? Because I didn't have it. I didn't, and then I was like, how am I still gonna get back and forth to class? Like, how am I gonna cover my gas? How am I gonna get water and groceries in my home? Like, I was really stressed. I was really struggling. And this makes me cry. My aunt, somebody gave her my number and she called me. This is a distant family member too at the time. She called me and she said, I need to give you some money. And my pride, because I didn't want to get money from her. We never even really talked. And I was like, oh no, what's going on? And she was like, no, I really feel like I need to send you some money. And she said, how much is your rent a month? And I literally was like shocked. Like I was stone cold. Like I was like, nah. And I had to be honest. I said, well, it's 920, but I have about $400 right now. I have 400. And she said, keep your 400. I'll pay your rent. And I remember I got off that phone and I cried. Like I'm about to cry right now thinking about it because I was in such a season where I did not see how I was going to come out of a hole. And in one moment, my aunt sent me, she did it Walmart to Walmart. So I had to go to Walmart and pick up the money she sent me. And I went and I paid my rent. And then I had $400 left over at that time. And that covered my gas, that covered food, that covered some of your utilities. And that kind of got me a little forward, if that makes sense, a little further. And that was a really tough season for me. But I've watched God come through. I've watched him, y'all. And so that's why I'm trying to tell you, expect him to supply your needs. I believe that God was going to supply my needs. I just didn't know how. And I had to go on throughout that day. Like, I know I don't got all my rent. Like, I'm going to give them this 400 though. And I'm going to let them know on my next payday, I will give them another 4. And then on the following payday, I'll give them 100. Like, I was trying to make a plan, and I was trying to work that plan. But even in me working that plan, God still came through. And so I want to share this with you. If you are somebody who has felt the pressures of life, it's time to start allowing God to be God. It's time to start trusting him to supply your needs. And sometimes I do believe that God puts us in those situations to show us who he really is. Because before that, I lived at home with my parents. So if I was truly hurting for anything, they was taking care of it. And before that, I was in school and I was on a scholarship. So I never truly had needed God to come through as a supplier yet. He could come through as a redeemer, a healer, a overcomer, but I never had needed God up to that moment to come through as someone that supplies my needs. So I had to go through a really tough season to see that God is a supplier. So maybe sometimes we go through things. Sometimes we got to go through a lot of internal issues in our body because we finally got to see that God is a healer. You know what I mean? Because we've never truly seen him that way. We say we sing the songs and we know the scripture, but we never truly seen his power work in that way. And it wasn't until that season that I seen God supply my needs. And I will say, in that season, my lights never got turned off. My water never got turned off. I never got an eviction notice. I never got told, get out of this apartment, because he supplied my needs for 6 months when my janitor job, my degree wasn't doing nothing for me at the time. Like, I was struggling. He supplied my needs. Daughter, I want to tell you, you might not see how you're going to come out of this. You don't know how you're going to get out of this tight financial situation. You will. You will. Keep working your plan. Keep working. Don't stop. Don't quit going to the job. Don't quit looking. Don't quit trying. Don't quit beating that wall with your faith, but also keep your standards high. Because I was struggling, I didn't say, well, you know what? I'm struggling, so it's okay if the lights go off. No, my standards never moved. I might have been struggling, and I might have to buy some great value or eat some noodles, but my certain standards never changed. Just because I could not afford rent did not mean I was about to go lay in bed with somebody to get money. I wasn't about to do that. No. Just because I couldn't afford rent or couldn't pay certain bills did not mean that now I want to now just let all my standards go. No, keep your standards in the struggle, girl. Keep your standards. Don't lose your standards in the struggle. Keep them in the struggle. And that standard may be, I'm not going to act like that. I'm not going to morally go against myself. I'm not going to be doing certain things. Do not do that, because it's really easy to when you're in a struggle season, okay? And I share that with you guys because now that's my diploma. Ooh, you can't see it up there, but like that right there is my diploma. In that season, my plan was to get that diploma. So that meant if I was gonna be struggling, I finished that plan out. Now I'm working on a whole nother plan. But that I got through that plan. And in getting that diploma, I got a job that paid me quite a bit. I got out of my struggle season. I was at a job that paid me pretty well. A little bit, a couple months after I got that diploma, oh no, my diploma wasn't even there yet. I didn't got it yet. But I was done with that degree. I got another job. I was working at a school district. It was an office job. I was making pretty good money, but it was a peaceful job that I could leave it and I could go home and work on my ministry. And then I started noticing that my ministry started making more than that job was paying me. And it was actually making more than a lot of jobs would pay me. So I had to leave that. So I want to tell you right now, your season of struggle will pass. Wake up daily expecting a miracle. If you don't know how God is going to supply your need, girl, you don't know how he's going to supply your need. God, I don't know how you're going to supply your need. You don't have to know. You don't have to know how he's going to supply your need. You just got to know he will. See, we cannot tell God how to bless us. See, I was in that season, I was like, God, how are you going to bless me? I need my rent paid. I was looking at my ideas. I was looking at all these other things when my great God had my aunt sitting there. We cannot tell God how to bless us. We just got to say, God, I'm open to the way you're going to bless me. You cannot tell God how to bless you. God will bless you the route and the avenue that He chooses to bless you. I was looking at my ideas. I was looking over here, like, do I need to do this? Like, how? I was looking at other ways of blessings, and God had an aunt, a distant aunt at that, sitting over there the whole time, getting downloads that she needed to help me out. Whew, I will say this. I was getting ready to move to this particular city some years ago, and I was about a month, 3 weeks out, maybe 2 weeks out. No, yeah, I was about 2 weeks out. To move in, I was gonna need like $1,200. But that was just to get into the apartment with the rent and the deposit. That was not the U-Haul. That was not the gas. That was not getting things turned on. That was just to get in the apartment. And I didn't have $1,200. And I was really struggling with how am I even gonna move? Like I remember feeling like my family like, are you still moving at the beginning of August? I'd be like, yeah. But inside I was so scared because I didn't have the money. Like, how am I gonna move? How am I gonna get, I don't even have the money to get into the apartment. And so I had 2 weeks before the move and I prayed and I asked God to help me. And he reminded me of an idea he gave me. It was this idea of a course. Because girls would always write me and say, who designed your ministry's website? And it was always me. And he gave me, and it was an idea he gave me previous seasons. I just never did it. But this idea was a course called Blog Faithfully, where I was teaching girls how to design their courses and all that. Because now I was so busy, I wasn't able to like teach them one-on-one. I was like, let me one day build a course that teaches them all this. So Lord brought that idea back. So that night, I set up, I made an outline of the course, I made a flyer, I made all this stuff to market, kind of marketing stuff. I hadn't even made the course yet. I hadn't even made the course. But I made all this stuff to market this course. And the next day I launched it. I think I stayed up for like 12 or 16 hours, y'all. I worked on that stuff for like 12 or 16 hours. But anyways, that's not the point. Like I had to get all the back end set up. I had to get all the stuff set up. I launched it. Oh, someone's car alarm. Is that mine? Hold on. Okay, that wasn't mine. Okay, so I launched the course, y'all, and within the first 2 days, I made $900. 2 days, I made 900. I really want to say 2 days. It could have been a day, but I think it's 2 days. I made $900. By the time I moved to that apartment, by the time it was time to move, I think I made well over couple thousand, and I had not made that type of money yet. And I remember I was like, oh my gosh, there's this idea that I had been sitting on. So sometimes God will send somebody to come in and help you, but sometimes He will send an idea that's going to help you help yourself. And that idea helped pay my first move in, and it helped cover like another month of rent. My first move in amounts helped me move in on all the bills were paid, but it also helped cover like 1 month of rent for me. That was really helpful. And so I will tell you, sometimes your biggest blessings are in your ideas. So, anyways, y'all, I didn't really plan to be on. Someone's alarm is going off. I didn't really plan to be on here that long, but I will tell you guys the reason I jumped on here was because I know specifically if you're in a struggle season, you've been struggling, you feel like you're losing faith, you're literally going through a lot of hard times. Just know that this too will pass. This too will pass. And also, too, we are having our online experience. So if you're somebody who wants to be a part of that, you can check that out. Also, too, we have 5 spots left right now for my online coaching. I'm trying to remember everything. So that is a link to the online coaching. And let me get a link to the online experience. Okay. Okay, I had to get the link. Sorry, y'all. Okay. All right, you guys. So the first link, if you say view flow desk, that is to how to book a call with me. We only have 5 spots left, and we dropped that off to the ministry like maybe not even 30 minutes ago. So I'm sure if it still allows you to check out, then that means the 5 spots are not gone yet. So we have 5 spots left, but the online experience, we're only having 100 spots for that. And we still have quite a bit of spots left for that. So the online experience, we're only taking 100 spots, but we only have 5 spots left inside of my coaching call. So if you want to be a part of a coaching call with me, kind of talk directly though, and I hear what your needs are, I hear about your mountains, and I help you move through those, then go ahead and check out that link that is pinned that says 5 spots only. But if you're somebody who wants more community and you want more of the help on how to put the you back in YouTube and all that, click that link for the online experience for the month of November. I know it's going to bless you. Okay. So thank y'all for joining me. I didn't mean to really go in that much on all of this, but I do know that we all encounter hard seasons. So be gracious on yourself. But remember, expect your miracle daily. Plan your way out and work that plan. Period. Point made. Um, Someone asked, can you purchase a spot for the online experience for someone who may want to get? Yes, you can, April. If when you purchase it, there's a little notes section, you can put there if you want to donate it or if you have a specific person that you're buying one for. You can put that there so we will know. Okay? It's like once you check out, it's in the notes section, and that lets us know if there's any changes or anything. So thank you guys so much for joining. And yeah, if anyone would like, if you want to be a part of the online experience, but you also want to donate a seat to somebody, please do so. I think they would love that. We had some messages. Oh, if you want to donate to someone random, then we will pick the random person based off of some of the messages we get. But yes, y'all, if any of you would love to donate to the ministry or anything like that, check out those links. We would appreciate it so much, and it would really bless the other girls that may want to come and attend, but may not have the funds to at this time. But we appreciate you. Thank you guys so much for rocking with me. And I have a video coming out Friday, and so we should be good. But my voice is getting hoarse, so I've been talking too much. But thank y'all. I love y'all, and y'all have a good one. Bye, you guys. Bye. Check out those links. Love you guys.